Alrighty. So we'll start with the under. This is that's it. Okay, so 1, 2, 1, 2. So we've been practicing that sword cutting just now. What I said was you didn't want your front knee going more than kind of over your ankle, and you wanted to keep that front leg fairly straight. When you're going to your under, yes, it's exactly the same. You don't want to go so far forward that your back ends up going like this. Never going to be good if I stop you at that point, you're not going to be able to keep your balance. So make sure your hips shift only enough to keep your back straight as you're doing this. So when you think you've reached it, stop. Okay? Good. Good. Go a bit further. So it doesn't take much to make quite a big difference. So you have to start observing the point where I don't feel quite as good on that back foot, maybe I can get wobbly on the front leg. There is an optimal place to go. And it's really for you to discover your range. Yeah. And your back wants to be very straight. So I don't want to be kind of my shoulders are back. I want this curvature in my spine here. My arms hang naturally, unless I'm a hunchback. I don't think I am. My back should be relatively straight. Yeah. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I won't stop you any time. 2, 1, 2, stop. Slightly extended. Good. Yeah, so it's quite useful to start your movement just rocking backwards and forwards and noticing you're like a ship at sea almost, being battered by the waves. Rising up and falling down, rising up and falling down. And just getting comfortable with that. And then we can do the arms independently. They swing up, but not too high so that you get a bend in the elbow. If you get a bend in the elbow, allow me to bend your elbow. Keep going there as well. And that's kind of what will happen. Whereas here, that's still keeping active. If I try to raise it, it should be good. It's good. That's what you do. Exactly. Right, so yes, hands out, and as you drop them, back to one finger. Out and one finger. 1, 2. That gives you a really good focus down. So actually you can test it here as well. And then I'll come back to one finger. Yeah, actually that was slightly further. Okay. So now we have to put the two together. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then just bear in mind that you're not just doing this kind of within your own body. So it's not just the ends of my arms, it's somewhere out there that I'm sending my energy. As far as I'm allowed, I'm happy to send it. Yeah? So you can imagine someone in front of you, you can imagine throwing a bucket of water, you can imagine giving someone a present. I don't mind what it is, but it's out there somewhere. 1, 2. And then when you come back, everything goes to the ground. 2, 2, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. You change feet. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Start moving. I tend to stay still. I want to see a bit more movement. And maybe everybody has their own stance. You know, what's kind of a walking pace would be typical. I don't know what your normal walking pace is. It looks a little fast. Well, what's the pace, but what's the distance between your back foot and your front foot? That's kind of neat. I didn't have my feet at this angle. That's very Aikido. But it's this sort of distance. So just take a step. Then we'll go. Fine. That's maybe just a bit further than you've been doing it. Take a step from here. Take a step. That's what feels comfortable, and that's what it is. All right, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to swap back to our left. This exercise is very much about focus, where you're sending your mind. So we're going to send it this way in front of you, and then after 2, you turn around like you did on the sword cut. 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. Now we'll do the side leg on. We're facing the wall. Left foot forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Still one. You tend to overextend, and you tend to leave the hips behind still. Okay. So just you make sure that you keep straight. Just be aware of this kind of straightness. If maybe in a slight angle now, that's pointing to the sky now. I keep going, I keep going, I keep going. Begins to tilt. If I don't do anything with this arm, it just follows the rest of my body. So it's a good signal. Shouldn't be moving in that way. You should still probably keep the top all the time. So that might be a good way for you to kind of measure the distance you want. And you put your hands on your hips. And just feel the movement of the hips going backwards and forwards. So if I'm just moving the shoulders, I'm not saying that's what you're doing, okay? But if I do just move my shoulder, it's a completely different feeling. Almost if I'm pushing my hips forward and pulling them back. Forward, back, forward, back, forward, back. So get used to what that feels like. Yeah, good. All right, so let's try and make sure that you see through. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, turn. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. We can do that for so long, and we want to make that less boring. So we're going to do verticals, and then we're going to do crossways. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We step with our back leg in the direction that it's pointing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, if you like. That makes more sense. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And turn it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hips. 2, 7, 8. Okay, one more of these, then we'll double it up again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So we've done the verticals, we've done the horizontals, now we do the cross. Always following the back foot. That's your guide. When you need to take a step, you follow the back foot, the other one's a glide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Notice where your back foot's pointing. Back corner. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now we've got you to straight to the front again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Whoa. Okay, so you're out here. Pick a lane, any lane, stay within your lane, and turn into the left. Go on. Oh, nearly stayed in your lane. So, you know, you could pick the line down instead of the lane. So instead of being between two mats, it kind of makes sense because you're doing the wall to pick the line. Kind of makes sense to pick the line. I can go on. All right, so when you finish, you're ready to go back the other way. You should feel nice and grounded. Both feet. The focus is where you're looking. Good. Right. So our theme for tonight is grounding. One of Tori Sensei's rules was keep weight under side. Or your feet. And just kneel down. Pressing camera's good. Right, so if I can bring his weight up to there, his thought up to there, it's fairly easy to shift him. But if I now ask him to focus on his touch with the mat and just to be very aware of that, feels like he's just put on about 200 stone. He feels absolutely rock solid. So this awareness of the ground and your connection with the ground is really, really powerful. It provides you with solidity. So if we think of the use of the word grounded in the English language, what does it mean for you? Okay, yeah, there's that physical, if we're going to physics, there's that element of it, and there's an element of that in what we're doing. We're playing with energy. Yeah. We are grounding energy, our own energy, other people's energy. What else does it mean? You say someone's grounded. Yeah, they're kind of serious. They know where they're at. Yeah. They kind of clear sight. They're not living with the fairies. They see things as they are and they speak it as they see it. We tend to describe people like that, who we think of grounded. They've got a good sense of reality. Does that make sense? Yeah. Well, I think in Aikido we need to have a really good sense of reality. We need to know whether we're playing with friends or foes. And we need to react accordingly. So having this skill of being connected literally to the ground is a really good start. So that feeling of being connected with other people and sensing what's going on with them as well. Okay, so we will play with this exercise a little bit. So I've told you what to do to be solid. If I ask you to think at the top of your thigh, I shift you. If I ask you to think of your palms resting on your leg. Hard. If I ask you to think at the top of your hand where I'm tapping now, and there you go. Tops of the shoulders. Just about. Armpits. I can't shift you. It should be much easier to shift you. Let's find out. Right. So first, just put my finger on your head. Okay, well, good. You're going to concentrate there. Okay, well done. And yeah, we can shift you. Now just feel where your hakama is touching the mat and be aware of that. And just sink into it. Just as heavy as feet, that's good. So if you think at the top of your thigh, if you think of your palms on your legs, so just resting on your legs. So keep them there. And that's better. Good. So when you not only is your legs grounded, hands should be grounded. So if you try to lift my hand, it should feel kind of solid. There'll be some give, but it won't go too far. Yeah. It shouldn't be all right. Just do that. Okay, let's try that again. Just really relax down. Let the weight flow not only down through your legs, but down your arms, down to your palms. Yes, that's the thing. Marks. Top of your shoulder. Okay, and the armpits.
If you're grounded, Sensi, that means you shouldn't be able to be moved.
Exactly.
And therefore, you have to move, but they can't move you.
Yes, exactly. So one of the things about being grounded is that you should know when to stay and hold your position and when to shift, because you see things with clear sight. So do we do Aikido only from one position? No, a lot of the time we do it from movement. So if you're coming the net ski, outside, if you don't mind, I would come off the line like as not. Or if you're coming Sherman, I might step off the line. But I might decide to hold my ground too. It depends. I have to make a decision as well. No, this is my space. You cannot have it, or no, you're welcome. See what happens when you enter there. Yes? So that's one of the things that we have to make a decision. Are we going to operate from a grounded place and hold our ground, or are we going to shift? And maybe that will vary in throughout the technique. Yeah. You tend to find the little old Japanese masters, at the end, they don't need to move so much. They kind of just hold their ground and bodies whiz around all around them. Okay, so then again. So you just go off it like that. Nice. 1 makes sense. Okay. So this time, as you do it, I want you just to soften your knees a bit. So I have a habit of operating from stiff knees. It's not necessarily good. So as you're going to ground, you're going to sink into the ground a bit. Right? Getting nice and sun. Okay, so as I give you, you're going to drain it down your back leg. So you want to imagine this line going down through your shoulders and hips to that back leg. That's the solid. Good. Okay, so as an experiment, we're going to try and drain it down that front leg. Okay? It works so well, which is perfect. That's what I hoped would happen. Yeah, so go back to the other one where you're just taking what I'm giving you. So you're not resisting it, you're actually channeling it down that way. Good. So you two have a play with that. You can test it. Maybe just a little bit. Yeah, so we've got a kind of neutral. You're not really thinking of anything in particular, you just extend your key out. Yeah. You might expect that. Yeah, that's what we would do. If that were the case, is you just go backward. This time you need to hold the ground because behind you is a cliff and then plunge to your death. You're channeling it down that way. Yeah. All right, test. Test taken. Maybe try the other leg just for fun. See if you can ground on both sides. I think that's just preempted me actually. So yeah, coming out. Right, so we're journeying down the back leg. Everything really should be down, so I shouldn't be able to lift this easily. So if you're just thinking out, it tends to do that. But if you're grounding everything, it should be nice and solid, whatever test I do. So when I cut, you're going to test me, please. If it just goes to the bottom side of my sword and you try to lift the sword up, that kind of thing will happen. Whereas if I'm letting my energy flow to the floor, there won't be much movement really. You feel solid. So I was saying earlier, you don't want to thrust like that with just your arms. You want to be using your whole body in this. It's the same with cut. Everything's going to the floor. It's the same when I'm grounding. Everything's going to the floor. It's not just a bit of me. I'm just doing that. Everything. I'm just letting gravity flow through me to the floor. So one way you can achieve that, if you can't quite get the feel of it in your body, is you can be saying to yourself, down, down, down in your head. Yeah, nice. So, a little more testing, please. Yeah,
I felt that.
Looks really solid.
I felt that really.
Yeah.
Well,
You can do another test too, so you just put yourself in that position. Good. You can take the back leg and lift. Yep. You let your right mind come to your head. That will happen very easily. Yep. So it's exactly the same strength I'm using on all the tests. Shouldn't feel any different, you just see differences in the results. As you don't look any different, I have to assume it's how you're thinking that's creating the different result. Especially as I'm asking you to think one thing and think another the next time. Yeah. So you shouldn't lose sight of how powerfully the mind and the body interact. We are one system. It's indivisible unless you create the division. You can live in your head, you can live entirely in your body all the time. You want that balance between the two. You just achieve more if you do. All right. So we attention maybe a little while ago. We're going to do it again. But with this focus of holding our ground and grounding our partner. So I want to take. Sorry, thank you. Take it to the ground. He's saying that your energy should flow all the way to the ground. It's quite easy that when you touch, that your energy stops there. No, you're going to flow through him and to the floor. Just like you do with a sword. You don't cut to there, you cut it all the way through. All right, so you'll ask your partner to come to you. So you're gonna get the sense of grounding here. So some tensionalities, so if you come again, move away a bit. Some tensionalities, we might be doing this, you're coming to me and I step in, right? But here I'm literally going to wait for you. I want to hold my ground. I want to shift in as he arrives. Yep. Okay. Okay, so don't step. We're not going to allow you to step on this one. We're going to make you hold your ground and stay grounded and ground your partner. A little bit. Your body can hold it. Again. So she's careening off a little bit to the side. Quite probably, we'll find out. So this one down and this one stays close to your body. Yeah. So I don't want to be kind of putting an S there. I'm not saying you were, you probably were. So I'm going to say up and down. Yeah. Right, so one way we're going to make sure that that happens is, as Kate comes in, I let her push that hand up. This one, I get this hand in a moment. So why is it going up? Because you're trying to maintain, and I don't stop that. So I'm not going to lift it up, which is a different feeling, yes? You're going to bring my arm to my body. On the side. You're going to bring my arm to my body. It's not me doing that, it's me saying, oh, but I'm literally, I'm the stick on the edge of the wave, she's determining how quickly it gets there. On both sides. Much better. Yeah, good, okay. Just come back in the shade. So if you're going to come forward, to make this work, yeah, you're going to shift your whole system forward. That's good. Good on both sides. Good. You're moving. Good. You're waiting. So when you get to here, you allow that to happen. Come on. It's going to be kind of here. Didn't quite let him in. You were close, but you stopped in there, and I want you to allow that extra bit of movement. Yes. There you go. Yeah, that's good. All right. You got now. Okay. So, we know that you're not always working with somebody who's the same height as you. So what I just said, you'd be interested to see whether it works from this height as opposed to my height. So it's yes. It's grounding with this hand, but it's very, very disturbing when you're on the back tall compared to this person. So it's not a question you need to get your hand above them, because this one can go so much lower to disturb their balance. Yeah. Still that's a concussive element of sending your energy strongly down and up. Okay, a little bit more feet, lift that feet. Yeah, good. And then today have something you let her do the hard work for you. Yes, very good. Couple more. Okay. Okay. To each side. Excellent. Very nice, very smooth. It's possible to get that elbow out. You're fighting him a bit, which is why you want to try and keep him in front of you. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just going to be this movement. If there's any movement out, you're giving him that kind of gateway to push on. Yeah. Yeah. You want to stay with him. Working is simple. Yeah. So when we're doing it standing or on the move, this is what we're attacking. This is one of the places we're attacking. This center line here. We want to disturb him from there all the way up. So even on standing, it's the same idea. Yep, just a couple more ways. Try that. Bearing it in mind. Yes. Oh, that's the best one. Yes, on cutting, absolutely cutting. If we have that little pause, if we're good, and you're both good enough for this, you reset. Right, so you've taken their center, they don't like losing their center. So you regain it if you're given a chance quickly. So you have to take them up and down at the appropriate time. So if I'm still trying to come down and he's not gone up, it doesn't work. If I go up and wait too long, it doesn't work. The timing is what the timing is. You have to feel, oh, the ball's at the top of the cycle now. Now I'm going to pat it down. Yeah. You try not to get in the way of the bouncing ball, if I can use that picture. Yeah. Try to catch it at the top of the bounce. So we're going to do Aikido. But again, we're going to hold our ground. And keep coming. Otherwise, you'll work for me. Okay. What's coming? Yep. Coming. Oh. So if you stop a yard away, I can't possibly make this work. I have to come to you to make it work. I need you kind of right. So again, I can use the same idea and then this collapse. Yep. I'm going to let that holding on. And when she's close, we'll move. And everything's done. Okay. Another one. Good. More. Good. Excellent. Cool. Ideally, you want to turn him and send him back where he went from where he came. Better? Yes. Okay. Try not to move so much. Like this. So your idea is to by that collapse, you're going to push straight through. What you want to do, but I don't need to do that. That's what I want to do. It's a better chance of dropping in front of you. Otherwise, I would adjust. Fine. Okay, so we've taken our partner down. Bring it down a little bit. Sorry, Pete. Hair wire over here. And the face vertically down the mat. Yes. This is also a place where we need to ground. Okay, so I should feel the weight underneath my legs again. I'm sitting actually up on my toes, but I'm definitely sort of grounding energy into the mat. I want to stay fairly upright. I don't want to be having to lean forward like that. And I want this kind of flow of energy downwards. So that should be not too bad in terms of the pin, I hope. Right? Whereas if I try to hold him down to the mat, I give him something to fight. I really want to place a force field around him. So everything's down, and there's one little trick. Pull that little high so you can jump from the other. Good. Okay, you can see the point of his elbow at the moment. And what you want to do is get your thumb in the crease of the elbow and just roll it a little bit. So that you can see the back of his arm as opposed to the elbow that's pointing up. And you want to be thinking down, not only where you're holding, but right the way across his body. So it's like there's a big weight all the way across him. I'm aware of the whole of his body rather than his arm. He's not just an arm. If you're just an arm, how does that feel, Pete? Oh, yeah. Apparently the rest of your body wants to move. Whereas if I'm thinking of Pete as a unified person, which he is, when I'm holding this, I'm also connected to the rest of the system, and that has quite a good effect. Okay? So, if you'd like to try that, and as you take them down, so you got to stand up, Pete. So I can just follow you as you're taking your partner down. Remember, we never want to get into these postures. So I'm standing upright. I'm extending right down here, but I'll just swing back a little bit again. Good lie there. Marvelous. Okay, so everything's going down, so it's very difficult for him to get up at this point. I'm still extending downwards. I'm still fairly upright. I test. When his head moves, that's where I ground his arm. One in his armpit, one next to his arm, nice straight body, rolling this, thinking of the whole system. Hopefully that's not too bad. Yeah. Okay, so there's only about 15 things to think of there. Do you want to first guess? Do you want to start? Your hair started good, not good. Good. Okay. Okay, so now maybe change your thought a bit. Yep. So when we're grounded, we have a chance to ground our partner too. And if you think of daily life, if you have somebody who's very upset or very emotional for whatever reason, and you get very emotional, the situation tends to get worse and worse. But if you can stay calm, there's a good chance that you'll talk the other person down. Yeah, so by being grounded emotionally, which will start from being grounded in your physical, you have a chance to calm situations down in a way that you just don't. something. Did you have that?
That to get you back now.
Yes. So as his system moves, your system moves, which is what you did. That's what you're saying. You've got me in. What you're saying, you're causing him pain. Carry on. Any questions from the posse? Everybody's happy. Good.
No, I think you need to have more burning the elbows, you think it's closer and do it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so here's an interesting thing. What more educated? Let's stretch Caitlin now in an entirely different way to Pete. I'll keep her arm quite straight. Then I'll wait for that head movement. And now I think that is the place to take Caitlin to, right? If I don't get that place right, how does that feel now? Yes, all of a sudden you've got room to wiggle and fight. When you're working with very muscly people, so Joe, often you'll find this is the case with big blokes that do martial arts. This stretching out here doesn't really work very well. Just wrap this around your leg a little bit. And that usually works a lot better with the really strong guys. Just bear that in mind. So yeah, it varies. If I see a whippet like you, I tend to stretch them out. If I've got someone like Pete or Dean, I wrap it around. Yeah, okay. Happy with that? Good, okay, so look at Gash. Okay, so little finger in the crook of the wrist, thumb up the back like that. It's not a push, I'm grounding my arms. Now remember, it's not just my arms I'm grounding him with it, so my extension's through here, which was better, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so like the sword cut, I'm just doing it on my own, it's one thing, but I'm extending key to my partner to have the full impact. We're creating one system out of two. So if I ground it, the whole system becomes grounded. Yeah? Okay, so let's just try that. And we can do this slowly if we want to. Go up. Very nice. So which of the two hands do you think does the most work? Or is it even?
It should be even.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Another couple? That's right. Right. So now, get my hand, we'll do it. Now I'm going to come into you. So what you're going to do is you're going to allow that to happen because that's part yes. So it's the same process. You don't get in the way of this. I'm trying to hit you with this hand maybe. To allow me to come in, and that's what sends me down. So Aikido, it's okay when we're both grounded, but in the end, one of us has to do something. I'm supposed to be the one that's doing it. I'm supposed to be having a go at you. So we want to get in the habit of always seeking to enter our partner's space and take control of that. Yep. Okay. So don't hold her out. Let her in. Yes. So easy, she's doing all the work for you. Okay, let him do all the work for you. Seems fair.
Fair enough, isn't it?
I said, no, you're gonna offer, or you're taking command. So if you're holding him, he's still gonna attack you. Once your hand further up, little finger in the crease of the wrist, thumb up the back, so as he tries to push in, yes. Don't leave his foot out there down into the shoulder. Yes, because otherwise sometimes you get that knee on the front foot and it really hurts. So what I'm doing, this technique on the knee, okay, so you're coming the next knee. So other hand. Well, here we go round, bringing round. Let's bring my feet into what we call jigito. Like this, as opposed to that. Because if I send down on one knee on that foot, oh, does that hurt? So you try to put your feet out the way. So as he's coming along, should be safe. My arm should be going through this arc. I don't want it to be coming back and then trying to drop it down. Never works. Make it more natural. Like you're walking, your arms swing up and down. That's what we're going to have happen here. Yes, a little easier, yes, a little bit easier. Yes. So, still, there's quite a lot of on that top thumb. Whereas if I just let you in, it happens anyway. Yeah. Again. That feel different? You should do. Yeah. But if you can't, it's a little switch of that. You get a hand. That's much better. Yeah, I want to feel like just yes. Good. There's a lot of grounding of his hand and grounding me through that process. Yes, I have a little bit more to go on that. Yes, very nice. Careful not to dangle your toes. Still dangling his feet. Yes. Yes. Sorry, I struggled as well. So what do you feel different on that side?
I feel
Okay, send it to a center level, right?
just stopping.
Yes. Brilliant. Well done. Yeah. Yeah. Good. So, and I hold my position, but there's a strong sense of grounding. Now, if I take this down, he lifts it up. I don't want it up there forever, he's going to bring it down, so I allow that to happen. But it's not me kind of trying to do something with my hand. It should be nice and flowy. It should, again, feel like that stick on the end of the wave. Yep. Taking into a roller to the other side is very fair. Yeah, a bit of a roller coaster, all right. Down and up and down. Helter skelter time.
I'm certainly tired at the start.
You were blowing it now. Walking that so coming this way, I'm even going to step back. Or if I've got time, I'll step in. Tend to step in when they're not moving, when they're holding you static. When she's not moving, I just let it come. So yes, I'm moving a leg, but the center of this movement is my back leg. And that's very grounded through the process. I'm staying in the center of this thing while it happens. Yeah. Okay. That was nice. Oh. Good. And you get nice posture. So that was a little bit of weight from you. Pretty good. So you allow the circle to continue.
Well, keep that hand still. Try to move with one hand.
So when we're doing this technique, this seems like the important one. And it is, but no more important than the other one, because this one's going to keep him close to my center. If we're kind of like that, and I don't, he's on the edge of the circle, and I'm on the edge of the other circle, and now I just don't feel as in control. But I'm going to take this center and I'm going to keep him vortexing around. Makes it a lot easier. As soon as I create a bit of a gap between us, that's because I'm now trying to pull his head towards me, and guess what? He doesn't like it. So I just have to bring it to him. Yeah, it's all that I like. It's gentle. So if I try to pull, most of us will resist that. And if they don't resist it, usually they collapse and so you kind of don't need to do anything else. So it's you're guiding him to you. They're there for you. It has to be that sort of feeling. It's quite a good exercise to practice. Just standing by your partner's side. You get away with it. No, don't. Yes, so if I try to pull it, I want to feel some resistance there. It's key going through this system. Now I'm going to guide it. Yeah. So the best way is to think up and over. That it's happening in the knot. It's not tug through this way. I'm going to guide it up and over. Does that make sense? All right, try that. Just that part of the exercise, both of you. Yeah, you just stand by each other's side. Yeah. And don't give your head up if you don't have to. Yeah, good. Nice. Good. Oh, sweet. Yeah, that's better. Yes, that's better. Much better. Good. That's good. Okay, quite close. Right, so let me guide it. Yeah. So I'm guide it again. I'm pushing through, we resist. Up. Yeah. So we only go up a bit and then pull. We're going to go in our mind, we're going to loop it all the way over. Yay! Let's see if your right hand's as good as your left hand. Ah, sweet. Okay. So bearing that in mind, because that's the feeling, we want to keep them close to us, like we hold them dear. Let's put that into the movement. Means you have a far better chance of staying perpendicular throughout the exercise and holding that center ground. Yeah. All right, happy with that? Excellent. So as it takes, ground, he keeps coming, we let him up. He wants to go down. So I don't do that. I think about grounding the two of us. Okay. So again, I'm using our connection. I'm not thinking of throwing his hand, I'm thinking of working feet, helping him find the ground. I want him to be grounded and sensible to see things clearly so that he doesn't want to attack me again. Right? So we're going to let him come in and ground. That will be too much for him, so I want to keep coming forward and he'll lift it upwards. That's what I've done. Now I'm looking down his ear hole. I'm not thinking of where he's going to fall. Because actually he can step back if he wanted to. I'm thinking of the energy going down through him. Yeah. And here. Think of him. Yes, good. Okay. So to start my offering like this, and as you take and go to there. As your body's coming in, I'm allowing you to come in. Obviously, if I don't turn, then I'll put myself into trouble. So I need to turn, and as you go forward and come up, you continue my turn. Letting that hand come into your center, and then swing. And then you're going to lift up as you're turning. The second part. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Down that bit. You let them take. You bring it into your center and you turn it so the palm is facing. The little thumb goes into the crease of the wrist. Draw the past you and down. Into your center, palm to the ground, thumb into the crease of the wrist. Let their body movement bring them in and down. I'm trying to keep this pretty much on my center line the whole time. So I'm doing it all, if I don't move my body, I keep my hands on my center line as much as I can. Okay. A little lighter on the hands and less upper body. Okay, fair enough. We're all allowed to trick. And did you see how you had to lift your elbow? Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Keep turning to the side of the body. Turning. Nice. Breathe. So what I'm going to do is, what am I going to do? Go down and up. And up and down. So I'm going to allow one step in this. I was saying on that last Shinagi, the one that was nearest their body, I kept that grounded throughout and made that the center of the movement. This is kind of going to be the foot that becomes the center. So 1, 2. We're doing Yonkyo. Yes. I don't want you to think that your Yonkyo is in that direction. Because if you do that to me, please, we'll never get to that down part, because as soon as she goes forward, I should be going forward as well. It does work if I stand here like a muffin. Then it works really, really well. But I am supposed to be responding to what she's doing. It doesn't work then. So if you want to ground somebody, what direction is that? It's there. Okay. So we've got our Aikido. Down, there's an up, and there's a down. That's where my mind goes. I've said this before. It's now I didn't hurt to that point. It's up to her whether it hurts now. She tries to get up, it hurts, because I'm still extending a lot of feeling down, right? But if you just allow yourself to be there, don't push against it, it's okay, isn't it? Right. I do really want us to go to the ground. So now I just walk forward a bit. And the sensible people go down at that point. So 2 hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, I want to have that sense of grounding Caitlin. Down all the way to the ground. That will take them so far. The little walk forward. And now I am thinking to the back of her neck. So check it up. Okay. So, okay. If I think down her elbow to the floor there, a bit more movement. Oh, quite a lot more movement apparently. So remember, this is attached to the system. I'm interested in staying part of the whole system. I'm working with her and me together. So everything's grounded through Caitlin. She's my connection to the floor right now. Yeah, it's working. Good, that's a relief. Right then. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Maybe 4 if you want to count 4, I really don't mind. Freedom.
So,
2 hands.
2 hands.
Step back, back down. So the front hand coming in, back down. Yeah, my promise to go up is the same here. And go up, down, up. And you know, go back. This is something about the speed of the person.
Just front hand up.
Yeah, let's do the back. Yeah. Make sure you allow her to come all the way up. Yeah. Right, so if I turn my body like this, But my back is facing the screen now. What's the problem with this? Yes, you can hit me, can't you? So I really want to stay with her in front of me. Yep. I want to be here. So she's going to try and hit me. Yeah, sorry. Just called that in time. I didn't need to do that. So, one. And you want to create that space between us. Now, just if you reach your arm out now. Yeah, I should just about be safe. But don't get that foot there, wouldn't you? Okay. So if you want to draw up a bit and then down, head up, and then down. So I want it to really be happening on this corridor in front of me, ideally. I want it to be happening in this place. Okay? A lot of time we want that. Twisting the body bit. And then if it's go back to you, keep her in front of you. Yes. So right now, my hips to you, and as you come in, I shift, but I still keep my hips to you. I don't want to twist it away from me. Probably a bigger step because you did have a wall behind you. So you might need to start on the further forward. Sometimes people, what's the point of doing yoga? I had it with the Aikido. But then how do you learn yoga if you don't play? Create a bit more space for yourself by working with this sumo. Yeah. Yeah. Make the power go back a bit. And that gives me, I don't have to worry about the wall behind you. So just send your feet into her and make like an antennae to tap that back on. Now the back on. So you're going to attend with the back on.
You can reach it now.
She's going to reach that on.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going both hands, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yes. I lied. Just testing.
No.
Okay, so if you don't disturb him, then it's hard to take him down. So you might make him. But you believe that you really want him, or want to threaten him. Otherwise, he comes in very vertically, and then we know that's very solid, it's hard to shift him. Yeah, much better. That's. I don't keep messing up if you like. Might as well, that's not, it's not going down. That's it. Now, down to the ground. Good. Feel uncomfortable? Uncomfortable, but also kind of makes you want to resist a bit. You think? Oh, you can feel something going on. Because you can feel it. It's strong. There's nothing much to feel. And now you can feel it. So you want to hold quite lightly. Am I holding lightly? Right. and allow your arms to fall. And that should be good. Did you see that? That's great. Okay, so as soon as I took a step back, I wasn't on top of her, she got up. So if I want to ground her, I need to be on top of this situation. And I need to stay on top of the situation by moving as she moves. Excellent. All right. Go for it. Either way, whichever road you're taking, go for it. Okay. So, kind of rules for a tenny. Okay. He always needs to make sure that he's working with somebody that's got sufficient control to stop in time. So the best thing to do when you're working with somebody you don't know that well is you start slower and see what happens. Did they manage to stop when you were walking? Well, maybe they'll manage to stop when you're walking plus a mile or two, right? Because you need them. So if you're coming to me, you need to know I can stop. And if you keep on coming, then I'm not going to stop, but I could pull it if I want to, rather than smash you in the face. But what you don't want is kind of, that's never going to really impress anybody. He has to think and realize that's pretty solid and it's not going to be good for him if he carries on coming. So if you are walking, it's slowly, but it's the same intent. Yeah? And it's very direct too.
Yeah,
Did you have a question?
yeah, I thought I was working, that's just,
Well, you probably were. Just allow me to make a point.
yeah.
It's a great Aikido, though.
I know. I'm just going to go back up again. Right, thank you.
Happy with that, David? Good. What's going this after that? Oh, he caught you out, cheeky devil. Right. Right. Let's take one from behind. When half person takes you from behind, they're looking to probably hit you in the spine, thinking horrible things to you. So that's never good. You don't want your hands to go behind you like this. This is a very bad place to be. So as soon as he takes, you bring your fingers forward. Stop him pulling back. Fingers down, you can stop control. But as soon as I bring my fingers forward, it makes it much harder. I'd much rather be here than here. You've still got room to knee me or kick me. But here, not really. I've got room to kick and stand as well. So that's quite helpful. When your hands are here, I can lift so far. Don't let me lift it far. Yeah. I can't lift beyond that. Except if I turn my wrist. And then I keep my fingers forward. If I do that, exactly the same problem as when I did that. Yeah. So I need to be thinking forward at this stage. To throw him, I need to get my body out of the way. And I'm going to bend forward. So it looks like I'm throwing that way energetically, but actually energetically what I'm doing is grounding him again. His body will go forwards because there's nowhere else to go really. So I will have my hands in front of me, my fingers are still to the floor and my energy is to the floor. And actually sinking down on this one is quite powerful. So, one. Use my knees and my hips like suspension on a bicycle, sending the energy downwards. All right, so that's, you can be in there. We'll both allow him to throw us. All right, so immediately, as soon as I take, that was terrific. Yes. It's very powerful. Sorry, one more. Caitlin. So, you want to shift that out of the way. Whichever one is your so I'm standing in that jigger position. Whichever side I've decided to throw on, I make a line here, or making a line here. Don't go too far across. It's about on the line. One foot's pointing one way, the other foot's pointing the other way. It just creates enough room to shift. You decide. Hopefully I pick it up and go the right side. Okay, a little more down than you do. That's a good way to practice, to actually drop your weight to the floor and get that sensation. You can actually kneel just as you did. Much better throwing the weight. Okay, so any technique you'd like to see where I can talk about grounding in particular? Open to suggestions? Yeah, they're there. They're just being.
I think some kokionagi.
Okay.
Some
Okay. Fine. Okay, so similar to the last. Come on the diagonal. So, with second ball, sorry. Slowly. Shoulders down. I need to be on the shot. So, this is going to be my first down and grounding. I'm going to turn my hip and then I'm going to lift him up. And then as he comes through, I'm going to step and ground again. So again, his line of travel is the whole width of the mat. It may look like the energy is going horizontally, his body is going horizontally, but I'm taking it all the way. Yeah, I hope. Nice, 2 seconds, that's fine. All right, Kevin. You want something new? Very nice. Right, we'll go back, won't we? Very nice, very nice. Okay, so now be careful. Coming in, the grounding was arising, there was a good. Then come back the other way. Down, up, down. What you don't want to see me do is smashing that into Caitlin's face. You want to see her. Yeah. Still extending. The grounding is coming through this kind of movement. We know if we can shift Caitlin from this position to this kind of position, she's going to be much easier to shift. So this is kind of telling. After a while, it becomes much more direct. So we're going to practice it with a big down, a big up, and a final one. Very good. Turn Jerry. The other one. I should have gone. Okay. I have a chance to use the squishes. Yes. Stay with me. Stay with me. Yeah. So come slowly. And you're staying. Kind of this is a physical link. There's a link between us now. Strong. Oh, I'm not looking very away. I make the shape. Feeling, wasn't it? So all the time, I'm feeling you where you are. So make sure that's part of it. Excellent. Okay, a couple of those. Just love them. Yes. Yes. Oh. All right, so we're going to stop there. So now, just on gallery for a second. Actually, for the rest, a few minutes. So, grounding is pretty integral to our practice. Being grounded ourselves, knowing when to stay hold our position or when to shift, but also grounding our partner, bringing them back to earth. And I can get into, oh, maybe I can't. Maybe I shouldn't get that upset after all. Yep. So it's a practical application. We practice it physically, but you can do this in any situation. Staying grounded yourself, you just change the energy of the situation. And in our class, it starts right from the beginning. So as soon as you step onto that mat, and you prepare for the bow, grounded, calm, centering, relaxing. All that comes into life is the body awareness here. And when I do bow, very controlled and very meaningful for me, and useful to start the class like that and to finish it like that. It's trying to develop a mindful state about what we're doing with our body. Because when we know what we're doing with our body, then we can begin to work out what's going on with somebody else's body. No chance of it's all jangled and jumbled and new. No chance of picking up things that completely random. So we have to learn to be safe. Any questions, thoughts on the posse? Ben, go for it.
Just pondering the difference between being grounded but not rooted. So what's the feeling of being able to move but remain grounded? Can you sort of characterize that
You
feeling?
can, they're close, Finn. So rooted, I mean, actually, that's quite a good picture when you're grounded, to think of roots going into the ground. It does help you keep them very, very solid.
But you don't want to be stuck to the spot. You want to be able to move.
Don't necessarily want to be stuck at the spot unless you want to stick to the spot. So you're right. You've got to have roots that you can extract from the ground to enable you to move. So, you know, they're very close, but I like that separation between being rooted and grounded. You're right. Grounded allows you the foresight to decide, oops, I should move here. Or actually, I can't move, or I don't want to move. And when you're in a discussion and somebody's holding the contrary view, you have to be open to shift your point of view to theirs, because they bring new information that makes you realize that your position is untenable. You have to be calm enough to offer information to let them come to you. And sometimes you just agree to disagree. You hold your ground, they hold their ground, and that's fine. You know, as long as there's respect there, and you can both say why, that's okay. It's when you get all bitter because somebody doesn't think exactly the same way as you do, and when people think exactly the way you do. Yeah, you don't want to be. Now, you know, we have to be a bit more flexible. Really solid when we want to be solid. You know, to blow like a feather on the breeze when we need to blow like a feather on the breeze. Sometimes it's a little bit of a combination of the two. And the willow tree, very bending, still those roots in the ground. Anything else? Come on. What about you? Thank you very much. Thank you for being here, team.
Thank you
That's
very
all
much
right.
for sharing all your practice. It's a real privilege to watch you train. I learned a lot just by watching it on the small screen. Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. All right, well, I will see you when I see you, and stay well, all of you. Okay.
I wrote you
Okay.
something. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well,
I'll stop.
Bye.